All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art Jam panel today during the Helioscope Mini Con. So this panel is going to be Dan Scotti, Kat Ferris, John Hallman, and Caitlin Like, and they're going to pull idea prompts out of a hat, and they will come up with a character, another character, and then a setting. And writer John Hallman is going to just help jam or bounce ideas off of them while they can create all these characters and stuff. I am going to hand it off to Dan now, who is the idea man of this panel. So Dan, go ahead and take it from here.
Okay, so we all sort of introduced ourselves. I'm Dan Scotti. Everybody here is a writer artist to some degree. That's our resume. So we'll skip past that and go right into picking the prompts for this art jam. The idea behind this is we're coming up with characters and sort of a rough story as we're sketching them. And to prompt us, I came up with these three categories of randomized prompts. We've got our protagonist here in pale blue, our antagonist here in purple, and our setting here in yellow. So what I'm doing is compiling these randomly shuffled prompts and putting them in my mother's sun hat. And we're just going to pick one of each at random. So first, our protagonist, we have a dying cowboy.
Oh my gosh, it's off to a good start.
All right, now antagonist, setting themselves against our hero's goals, matching them and mirroring them, is a boy king.
Oh no, this is good.
And then we have the setting, which changes the context of everything. If it's in space, then they're space cowboys. If we're in medieval Europe, then the boy king's probably just a boy king. And that setting is the end of the world.
Dark Tower? Is this Dark Tower?
It is Dark Tower. This is absolutely Dark Tower.
We have a dying cowboy, a boy king, and the end of the world.
Oh my God.
What will our boys do here at
This is going to be fun.
So I couldn't have asked for a better setup, honestly.
Yeah.
So Caitlin and Kat, who wants the dying cowboy?
I don't know.
Rochambeau for it.
Okay.
Are we gonna?
1, 2, 3, then shoot.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, sorry. I already messed it
up. It's okay. All right. Let's try again. 2, 3. Shoot. Oh my God. Oh no, both paper. All right, this is terrible. I'll take the boy king.
That sounds
I'll
good.
take the cowboy.
All right.
Nice.
So let me quickly label these columns. So we've got cowboy here.
This is the program everyone's drawing in. It's called Magma Studio. And let me just make sure I can get the full screen mode. Full screen. Yes, excellent.
Yay.
So as we're starting off with these characters, we've got an apocalyptic context. Well, that's actually a good question. What does the end of the world look like? Is it, now deserted cities? Is it Mad Max? Or is it like, has the rapture happened? What are you guys feeling in terms of an aesthetic?
I mean, with the boy king aesthetic, I feel like that there has to be some kind of society left, Mm-hmm. I think that element kind of brought in if there's a boy king, there kind of has to be a society that maybe he's running.
Yeah, there's sort of a fiefdom left over. Like society has crumbled to the point where there can be a boy king.
What if he's like boy king of just like a pack of rascally orphans that doesn't actually have any authority necessarily, except maybe like within the particular town that they happen to find themselves in as being like the chief troublemaker.
That is a fun idea. I like that.
Is this, if we're gonna do a cowboy, it doesn't even have to be like a future apocalypse. This could be like an apocalypse that happened in like 1880.
That's a thought. I kind of like that. One of my favorite movies is The Seventh Seal, which is an apocalyptic movie set in like the 1400s. So that can totally work. So how would that inform our Here, well, let's start sketching out some rough figures here, and we can pin down the exact flavor of them later. So, we've got our dying cowboy. A boy king's a little bit easier to nail down because a boy has a pretty set physicality.
So, like, I think we need a specific time period because that'll reflect what the cowboy is dying of, whether it's some kind of like future blood cancer or like box state or tuberculosis. Like, it all depends on the overall setting.
Since we're hammering out a visual right now, let's have it be like he's dying of a wound we can see. Because if it's internal, then we can't really visualize that. But if he's like he's like shot in Act 1 by one of the Boy King's gang of like little rascals potentially. Maybe he's got like an arrow bap in his like lung.
Arrow classic.
Yeah. Because you can shoot arrows, in 2021 or 1821.
True.
True.
I'm always saying this.
How old do you think the Boy King should be?
I'm thinking like at most 10 years old.
Yeah, I immediately thought of like Max from Where the Wild Things.
Yeah, me too.
Like I was just thinking of, just kind of this like marching around with like a frail crown on, kind of bossing around whoever he sees.
Nice. Chris Brooks from the audience says about the cowboy, maybe the wound is turning the cowboy into something, undead, beast, etc.
That is an interesting idea. I really like that.
One of my favorite comics is Sixth Gun.
Yeah, same. So that rings pretty true.
Yeah.
I think let's lean into that. That's a good idea.
For those of us who haven't read Sixth Gun, I read it. I don't know why I said that. What happened?
You borrowed my copies. Well, a lot of characters get transformed, but the guns from the 6 guns that everyone is arguing over, basically, the ones that Drake has in his possession start like transforming his arm.
Okay.
With like a weird disease. It almost kind of reminds me of like we go back to Dark Tower, where the gunslinger like ends up like losing some of the fingers on his hand and like gets an infection and like has a weird gross arm for a while.
Let's start connecting these dots. So I really like the idea of the thing that's killing the cowboy, turning him into something else. What if the Boy King is kind of in charge of, for instance, like a pack of zombies essentially, and the cowboy is slowly getting turned into one of those. Like the cowboy is slowly sort of becoming something that would like be under the Boy King's dominion once his degradation, his transformation is complete. What do you guys think of that?
Stan Marcel from the audience says, so like more of an identity death instead of a literal one?
What?
Ooh.
Oh, that is existential.
A little bit, but if he is turning into the undead, that would be dying in a sorts.
Yeah, like one sort of mirrors the other.
Yeah, and it would definitely put the Boy King in the antagonist role, which we've kind of assigned him as far as like, the cowboy, is resigned to this fate, but doesn't necessarily want to, like, once he does transform, kind of be under the rule of this, Boy King.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what does the cowboy think about the end of the world? Where is he at with it emotionally?
He's not doing great, bud.
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, it could be kind of, you could tie it to themes like, he's like in an apocalyptic setting, but it's also kind of like the end of the like idealistic West, for cowboys. They had their kind of like free reign of like the West, and fighting against kind of this like fiefdom and structured city that like this boy king represents, you know.
What if the like the apocalypse is technological? It's the end of the old west. It's, you know, industrialization is coming. The homesteads are blowing away, the cities, the, you know, the workadays are rising. Yeah, what if it's like, what if it's
King
the
has a giant mechanical spider?
right?
Oh no.
Yeah, like what if it's Terminator in 1890?
Oh,
That's speaking my language.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
So then like what if he's been shot with like a Borg bullet essentially, or, you know, maybe it should still be an arrow, but it's something that's sort of like taking over a technological infection that's taking him over, like cable or something.
Trying to make, cool. Makes him more kind of like compliant to be like this worker drone for the boy king. Like
that's great, because he's becoming more and more like he's losing his memories, his free will, his ingenuity as it goes on.
Yes.
Allison will see. Hi, Allison.
Hey, Allison.
Saying, hey, Allison. She says getting wild, wild west in here.
Yeah.
Chris Brooks says, Boy Kings brings Faye to mind, like an eternal child who is in fact really old.
That's interesting.
It's possible he was
what
like...
if the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say it's possible that he was like cursed to forever remain like a child.
Or he could be a child that was taken over by one of these machine intelligences.
That
like
also works.
He's just like a little... Like he's 10 years old, but he's got this he's got this massive, you know, cyber thing living in his brain.
Yeah, he kind of stopped aging, but he, you know, became smarter and more powerful.
Damien says about the Boy King, could the Boy King also be stuck in his role but doesn't want to be awful?
That's a good question. What does the Boy King think of the technological apocalypse? What does he think of the doom of man?
You know, if he's the antagonist to the cowboy, you know, and there's the opposition there, you know, there would be a lot of space to create stories around, you know, the Boy King's need for like order and predictability and like maintaining this, you know, legion of workers to benefit society as a whole, where the cowboy is like yearning for kind of like that independence and want to explore and, you know, make your own decisions and mistakes kind of thing. So there is a lot of different decisions you can make as far as like what the Boy King's motivations are versus what the cowboy's motivations are for fighting against it.
So it's individuality against conformity. As he's literally becoming, you know, a mindless drone. I'd love if we could get more dimension out of the Boy King.
Damien says this is sounding like a psychopath. Or wait, I don't know what you mean, Damien. Sorry, this is sounding like Psycho-Pass.
Psycho-Pass. Oh.
Psycho-Pass.
Oh man, that's a deep cut anime reference.
I don't know that one.
I have not heard the name Psycho-Pass in many.
I haven't heard that name in many years.
It's been a while.
It is kind of an anime-ish idea. You know, I think, I mean, you know, the end of the world, the end of the West, the end of things, the end of your free will, the end of your agency in the world. I think that I think one thing we haven't touched on at all is the idea of like a child versus a man who's dying, like a person whose time is over, a child who has all the future ahead of them. I mean, this apocalypse clearly is going to be good for the machines. I wonder if there's something we can get out of that. The idea that from the Boy King's perspective, he's at the beginning of all of this. The cowboy is just the wrapping paper of the present that is his future.
Yeah, I could see the dynamic of kind of like him even unnecessarily being against the cowboy just as a like resentfulness maybe of like representing something that he wouldn't be able to achieve even if he tried, or maybe he does want something more like what the cowboy has, but he just doesn't have the programming for it, kind of thing. And so yeah, he really resents that cowboy for being able to kind of have that life experience of the freedom of something that he might not ever be able to experience. Like there's no kind of new west for him,
That's interesting. Yeah, it's funny. The grass is always greener, right? You will always like there's this intro to a TV show from the 70s. I can't even remember what it is, but it's the hero's this guy on a motorcycle, right? He's young and vital, and he in the intro he pulls up to a guy he's in a sedan, his family's in the back seat, and the guy in the sedan's like, where are you going? Motorcycle guy is like, wherever I end up, I guess. I wish I was you. Motorcycle guy just says, well, hang in there, and he peels off. But like the idea that if you have security and safety in a family, you wish you were the motorcycle guy. If you're alone and you have nowhere to go on Thanksgiving, you wish you had a house.
Yeah.
I think the idea that, everybody's like one person's beginning is another person's end is a really interesting thought to have in an apocalypse story.
Yeah. Damien said something. So the boy's character is presented with the most opportunity for change in a way because he could learn from the cowboy's death. And then Chris says, like the boy king or the thing that controls him wants to assimilate the cowboy to learn how he's resisting the change.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
That is, oh man. I like that. I love it when there's a story about like the hero's resisting something, and the thing he's resisting wants to commodify that resistance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, it has a lot of parallels to, even with the setting, if it's back in the 1800s, there's a lot of parallels of kind of that generation resisting technology and like the changes that brings in society, and this newer generation feeling like they can utilize it to make a better future, but then there will always kind of be that the hold-offs from previous generations that won't ever really accept technology, even if it's good or bad.
I think these are really good heady themes. Let's figure out what these friggin' zombies are like.
Yeah.
Techno Zombies.
Yeah, I've been playing around with this idea over here that it's sort of like Tetsuo the Iron Man, where there's like metal bits that start to kind of grow out of you. Like it's
yes. I haven't thought about that in a while.
Ooh, okay. I mean, that's the great thing about starting with like an archetypical American hero like a cowboy is you can start to slowly chip away at that. You get to slowly ruin him.
Do techno zombies also want to eat flesh, or do they want to eat technology, or what?
Ooh, that's kind of fun. If they just like
just eating railroad tracks.
Well, like what if the zombies, like, you're the poor sheriff who's going to die in the first 10 minutes. He's like, the zombies are coming from, he's shooting at them. Stay back. And the bullets are just kind of absorbing into them. And then they catch up to him. They grab his gun, and the gun starts to like become part of their hand, sticking out at a weird angle. They just start like taking any technology they can find.
So do they even care about like eating humans at all? Or are the humans then afraid of the zombies because they don't want the zombies to take their technology?
That's a good question. I mean, they might be assimilating people along the way as well. They might be taking everything. They might even be taking you.
They want one hive mind.
Yeah. It's funny. It could even be something like, we acknowledge that we're going to probably not use 80% of what we're acquiring, but we want to acquire it in case we need it.
Oh, right. And if it is the end of the world, limited resources right now, so
Damien brings
to
up
acquire everything for to benefit the whole kind of mindset for them.
That's true. Damien's got the good takes. What does Damien have to say?
Yeah, he says next, so every zombie could look different. That's totally true. It would change the whole silhouette for each zombie.
I love that. And that's half the fun of doing something like this. Like you can easily do a very like gray, boring apocalypse story, especially one with zombies. And so you got to keep it lively.
Yeah. And like, yeah, that would lend the ability to kind of make it different kind of artistic styles. You can make it if they're assimilating different technologies, and it is supposed to be like during the 1800s, you could definitely do like steampunk zombies, or like they like start assimilating like a locomotive or something like that.
I love like a locomotive with like a person, like God Emperor Dune just sticking out the front.
Yeah. So
that
yeah,
would be sick
using
as hell.
a lot of that technology of that day. And maybe like throughout the story too, showing how the cowboy, as he's less and less able to resist, like how he physically changes as well, and what
something capitalism, something.
I mean, you're the one who said it in the 1800s, Caitlin. We're yoked to this now.
So, Kat, tell us about the staff. Did I miss something, or did you just come up?
No, I was just doodling because I had our like little trashy street urchin boy king, and then people started talking about the future, and I was like, oh, maybe he needs like a future robo staff.
Yeah, I love how it's got like metal tendrils weaving out of it. It's got a big old metal eye. That's great.
Thank you. Someone said Terminator, and I was like, hell yeah, Terminator eye.
Yeah, this looks like the head of whoever was in charge before him.
It possibly is, although the skull is very small. It's very boy size.
He took
so
it over.
Maybe there was another
boy
king. Maybe there can only be boy kings, and the new boy king becomes boy king by murdering the old boy king.
That's dark,
a
but
long
cool.
line of boy kings.
Hi, I draw horror comics.
Well, what if you like, the younger you are, the more intelligent you can be as a machine. But if you're old, if you're over 30, you can kind of only be a drone.
Oh my God, please don't make me feel bad for being over 30. This is ageist, sir. But no, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Chris says, reminds me of something he found and it took control of him.
Yeah, I like that.
Caitlin, I like that you have like this emotional close-up character design of your cowboy reacting to his dyingness.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I ran out of room for feet. I guess I could resize it again.
Yeah, this is very...
Oh, looks like Kat's going to do a close-up too.
Nice.
We still have time, right? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're swimming in it.
Yeah, 15-ish, 20 minutes. What were you going to say, Dan?
Oh, dear.
I'm sure I was going to say something of no value. I do not know what I was going to say.
What are you drawing?
Dan, don't be mean to yourself.
I say lots of smart stuff too. I'm willing to cop when I got nothing in the tank. I do think that, since we're really making some moves as to who these characters are, what they're doing, we should like figure out what the arc of the story is. I mean, what's the, like, how does this end? What resolution can these two characters be brought to between the boy king who's trying to, start a future, and the cowboy who's just trying not to, become part of history?
For the sake of our viewers too, is it possible for one of you to do like a line timeline to have the story beats and show where you think
that's an interesting idea, John? If I make you some room, maybe at the, I'll just move some of my stuff up. Give me a sec here, and then you can start charting that out. This is our third time using this this website, so we're all still figuring it out. This is good. I can make my train longer anyway.
I want to know, since this is the third time using Magma Studio, is it growing on you anymore? We never like hated it, but Kat, you said last time you get what you pay for, which is It's a free program.
Well, I mean, I said I felt like I got what I paid for, but also like I kind of meant that in a good way. Like it's been pretty fun to work with. It's really great for a situation like this where we all just want to have a jam, and just need to be able to do it in a way that everyone can see.
Yeah, we're kind of just we're illustrating our thoughts. This is like advanced gesticulating.
Yes.
Yeah. So do we want more of, do you want the dying cowboy, is he going to try to escape, or is he trying to fight against the boy king?
It's a good
As
question.
he's turning, is he going to try to like take down the system as it is, or
Well, like with the conceit that we've already gotten, he is a cowboy, he is an adult man, and the zombies are literally a predatory capitalism coming to get you with the Gilded Age coming around the corner. So even if he tries to fight, even if he wins, it's going to be like a Pyrrhic victory, because modernity is the end of the world. He is going to die no matter what.
That's a really good question. What does victory look like? Because this is a light show. This, people are watching, they're having fun. Let's find some kind of positive resolution to this. So yeah, what beyond survival does he want? What do you reckon, John, or people in the audience?
I wonder if this is like some kind of horror. The best possible option would be to die as himself. And that would also depend if this is a horror story or not.
I tell you what, I just saw in the comments, what is he trying to save? What if he has a family member, maybe his own child, who's sort of like a captive of the Boy King, like potentially going to be turned into another machine like the Boy King, and he's trying to save his boy or his daughter.
Is the Boy King his son?
Oh, I was
shit.
Cut the Gordian knot. That's awesome. The Boy King is his son.
I'm not sure how that would relate to the he's literally trying to kill his own father.
Well, because he's got the machine stuff in his brain.
Machines have taken over, and
he spent too long on his phone, and now he's evil.
Oh my god!
Screen time.
I think I might have made it way more dark than I intended. I'm not sure how this works.
But he's trying to assimilate his father, in his own kind of way, like bring him into the fold, and that's why his father is, turning. So yeah,
we keep talking over Leila. What have we got?
Oh no, it's okay. You guys are on such a good roll. I always feel awkward interjecting. But Chris had this a similar thought. Since the cowboy has limited time, who or what else is motivating his resistance? Family, a societal remnant, seeds.
Well, and it does pay into a bigger theme. Like he's trying to save his son. He's trying to recover his son from this weird situation. But that's a metaphor. That's him trying to retain some kind of the future as he saw it, as he wanted it to be. And that's what every story about saving your kid is about. There's no from Jingle All the Way to Logan. That's what they're all about.
Wow.
The breadth of human experience.
I'm glad we could bring Jingle all the way into this. I'm impressed with how quick you got that train out there, Dan.
That's yeah,
pretty great.
I draw a lot of stuff set in the 1800s. You might say I've been training for years for this.
Get in.
Horrible. Get out.
Anyway.
Get out.
But I love the idea of these. I love the idea of these. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, Damien says, is breaking from the machines possible in this world, or is everything too far gone?
I think it's inevitable, but that's me. I'm also the person who suggested that the Boy King should be his son, which I'm not sure I actually like.
Well, I think he meant something else. I think he meant, is it possible to no longer be a part of the machine once you're assimilated?
I think so too.
No.
Well, I mean, what if there's like, because a great Old West trope is the broken down one-legged old prospector who's like living in a shack on the edge of town. What if there is a guy who was able to pull himself out a bit, but he's been kind of ruined by it, right? Like half of his head is missing. He can talk kind of, but then he like falls into this weird other binary language, and he can be sort of a grim vision of the potential future for the cowboy. Like if you don't stop this now, if you don't save your son from what he's been turned into, if you don't stop yourself from being turned into this is what awaits you, even if you get free.
That's great, because then if they do recover, then they can't. Society might be able to recover from the machines, as Damien also comments.
Well, yeah, I like kind of. I mean, I kind of agree with both. Like Caitlin, it is an end of the world setting, so we're at the end. But like, I do kind of like the idea of even maybe there's a promise out there, or like a rumor of like a place untouched by what's happening where they're at, or like I know I was talking about like kind of the cowboy longing for West that's no longer there. But like, what if there is, to bring in more of kind of the cowboy setting, what if there is this kind of like destination that there's a promise of like either being able to cure yourself from this technological virus, or a place that's like hasn't been touched by it yet, and so he wants to bring his like not only get there himself before he's taken over, but like potentially, if we're making the Boy King his son, like take the Boy King with him.
Well, first of all, we have to make him his son because Kat drew this great word balloon. Second of all, there's a quote. I don't remember what this is from, but it's the world is ending all the time. Like in a lot of ways, the end of the world. This is very like I went to college in Santa Cruz for a little bit, but the end of the world. The end of the world is a frame of mind, and getting cancer for a person is as apocalyptic as the alien invasion. So I feel like every good apocalypse story, at least one that has some kind of a happy ending, has to be in some way about surviving the end of the world and then growing into whatever the world becomes after it's over.
I think Chris, this is a little bit late too, but Chris says, obviously played by Clancy Brown. Were you referring to the cowboy?
The old man.
Totally.
Yes. The old man is if we don't get Clancy Brown to play the part, we're not making the movie. He's got this little like robot leg. I love it. I'll draw a ruined old man whenever I get the opportunity.
So we have about a little under 10 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions for these creators before it's too late? I asked them the other day if they've ever collaborated before in real life. Will you answer that question?
I once collaborated with Dan on a classic golden years of TV wrestling, WWE style smack talk video.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
A glorious moment.
Oh, awesome. And we worked together. We had a big corporate job where we had to come up with, there were like 10 board members. And we had to design superhero identities for all of them. Yes. You and I worked together on that. You did colors for some of it, I think.
I think I might have even done some drawing on it, but I don't remember anymore.
I think you did. Maybe now that I think about it.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of a different corporate job. There have been so many corporate jobs where the whole studio has basically ended up collaborating behind the scenes. Like, who can even keep track anymore?
Chris says, will you actually make this comic? Because this is really good. I agree. This could be really fun.
I'm having a good time.
That's kind of the beauty of this exercise is once you just get some nouns, once you're just given something to work with, you start creating a narrative that connects it all. It starts to feel real to you. You can do this with any random protagonist antagonist setting. And if you can do it just out of, what's in the cupboard, like we're doing, then you can do it with something that's more important to you.
And I really love how it shows how, you take these base characters like, dying cowboy, and you start thinking about that and what that means, and examples of it that you've seen a lot in different media before, and then same with Boy King, like me and Kat were saying, like we immediately thought of like Max, but then like you get that setting, and it really kind of like makes the story of like, oh, okay, like that element just adds like so much more that you can work with. And we've had several ideas around just these three things. You can always like add more elements that you can kind of pull out randomly, but even with just these three, it really gets the ball rolling as far as like, yeah, what you can do
when you do it in a team like this. Like when I think End of the World and Dying Cowboy, I just made it like a future thing in my head. But then Caitlin's like, well, why don't we just set it in the Old West? It's an apocalypse back then. And the whole thing became so much more interesting. We wouldn't have this wonderful like cybernetic corpse train that I drew so well that otherwise. So
that has to be the name of the book.
Cybernetic corpse train.
Yes.
Hey, Kat, have you drawn the Boy King crushing his crown?
I've drawn him crushing his father's hat.
Oh, shoot.
A symbolic crown.
Yes, the symbolic crown.
Yeah, so we only have a few minutes left. How, like, does the cowboy die? Does he save his son? Or do they walk off into the sunset together? What do you reckon?
Sorry, all of these kinds of stories come back to you can't escape from capitalism for me. You can't outrun modernity, or at least he can't. The best he can do is try to save help prepare his son to live in a world that is going to be full of this. He has to prepare his son to live in like modernity. That there has to be a better way than what the nonsense he's pulling with this. He's a cowboy.
I don't want to kill you, son. It's my job as your father to teach you what I know, and maybe you can do something better with it.
And not murder you.
No matter how much I want to.
Yeah, I think in some of the best Westerns, the cowboy just has to die at the end. So
yeah, like, because the time of the cowboy is short and romanticized and not actually that great and kind of imperialistic and shitty.
Listen, we're trying to have some fun with 6-shooters here. Does everything have to come back to our horrible national history that shames all of us?
Oh.
Yes, because every story you tell, especially if you tell a period piece, will always be rooted in that history of what happened.
That's true.
So you have to consider these sorts of things, and whether you decide to like be more close to history or not, you do have to keep them in mind.
Yes.
And you can still have fun, like adding in a corpse train.
Yeah.
Little boys
100%.
Well, in the context of this story, I agree. Every cowboy is a murderer, and it's good that we don't make westerns anymore. In this story in particular, I agree. I agree with Caitlin. I think the cowboy, and with John as well. I think that the cowboy should die. Otherwise, what is rebooted Soul Train? That's awful. I love it. I think the cowboy should die, and I think that.
Yes, Damien. Thank you.
What does he say?
Oh my God, the cowboys are being colonized in this.
Hey, there you go.
Oh, and now it is you who are the colonized.
2 minutes to go. Here. Oh man, I just had an idea. This is my pitch.
Yes.
They actually, their transformation is complete, actually. The Boy King fully becomes mechanized. The cowboy fully becomes mechanized. And they just find a way to have a relationship in that.
They've assimilated into the modern world.
But you can
through the power of being robots.
Well, and you can assimilate into the modern world and still have the connections that are important to you. They just look different now.
And maybe like the Boy King lets his father like keep something of his previous identity that maybe like the other ones haven't had a chance, or maybe like he learns that the father learns like he can still, maybe he has a closer connection with his son now. what every son wants.
Because then they've had this conflict for 90 minutes, and now they have a new respect for each other. They can have a real relationship in an artificial world.
That's dark, but bittersweet.
Yes.
Like the best chocolate.
Like the best chocolate. It is dark but bittersweet.
Now I want chocolate day.
Well, I think that's the ball game.
Yeah.
So do we have any final thoughts in the 30 seconds that remain to us?
This is fun. You should do it with your friends.
Yeah, make a fun party game, honestly.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun coming up with these prompts. It was just me and Jackie on the couch behind that curtain. Just like there's Pirate Queen in here. There's all sorts of Toontown was one of them. You can really have fun with this.
Yeah.
Good times.
Heather says, thank you for sharing, guys.
Hey, thanks for coming, Heather.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience during this. And thank you, John, Kaylin, Kat, and Dan. You are all so hilarious and fun to watch create things. So thank you so much for doing this.
No problem.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun.
Bye, everybody.
Fun. Thanks.